Welcome to this guide on creating YouCan apps. These apps are software integrations that extend the functionality of online stores on the YouCan platform, allowing sellers to add new features and manage everything from their seller area dashboard. So in this video, we'll get started on app development by creating an app based on a Nuxt.js template that tracks orders using the YouCan API. Now, before we start, make sure you have your partner account set up and have created your development store. You should also have a package manager installed, PNPM preferably, and the latest version of Node.js, and be somewhat familiar with JavaScript. Alright, with our prerequisites checked, we're all set to start building our app. So to create our app, we open our terminal and run pnpm create at youcan/app@latest. Or if you're using npm, then run npm init at youcan/app@latest, whichever you prefer. This will initialize our app and install YouCan CLI to scaffold and manage our project along with all the dependencies that we need to build YouCan apps easily. Now, let's proceed by naming our app Order Tracker. And then pick which template to get started with. We have Nuxt, Laravel, or an extension only, and a blank canvas. However, the extension template is designed to create a theme app extension, which you can look into our theme app extension video. So for this case, we recommend using Nuxt template as it provides all required setups for a fast development process, including YouCan UI library integration to ensure that the app's look aligns with the seller area's user experience. Next up is to cd into our app directory and install our packages using pnpm install. Now, let's open our app in our local code editor. So after initializing our app using YouCan CLI, we're provided with a boilerplate to get started quickly. You'll notice a YouCan folder at the heart of this boilerplate, containing pre-configurations for authentication and session management, among others. This ensures that you can focus on developing your app without worrying about the underlying setup. Now, the main part of setting up our app is within these files. YouCan Web JSON to run the necessary commands. Then we have YouCan App JSON and .env, which we'll dive into later, that holds our configuration and app settings. Next up is starting our development server by running pnpm dev, which bundles our app and connects it to our partner account, allowing us to preview and test our app while instantly updating any modifications we make. So here's our app successfully integrated in our partner dashboard with our client ID and secret key for access. You can also see that our YouCan app JSON file has been updated accordingly to our app information. So make sure that it matches it. What we should do now is configure our app's API access to ensure that our app can authenticate with the YouCan platform. So first off is to create a .env file by duplicating the current .env example file here and update these parameters with our credentials, which we will find in the app's OAuth section in our partner dashboard. So make sure the Nuxt API key matches the client ID and the API secret matches the client secret. Next step is to set our app URL in the YouCan app JSON file. For this, we go to our terminal and find which port we are using. Now you'll most likely start on the localhost port 3000. But if that's not the case, check which port is being used and adjust it in your app configuration to match it. We'll replace this value here with our localhost URL. And then, same goes for the redirect URLs for authentication, which should include /auth/callback. We will also need to update the URL of our app in the partner dashboard, here in the overview section of our app. As for the scopes here, they are set to all, but it's best to specify what your app needs access to depending on what it does. For this, refer to the scopes restrictions mentioned here in the documentation. So by following these steps, we'll have a secure authenticated app ready to be installed on our development store. Now to preview our app, we must run pnpm app install which prompts us to authorize the CLI to access our development store and synchronize all changes made. Click on Authorize. And here's our app. Check that it's well synchronized with our dev server. Let's go to Pages, then index.view, and change the text here. And we're good to go. Now, let's see how to connect our app to the YouCan API. First, let's set a route within the server called Orders. And then copy this code right here from the documentation. Now here we set our event handler to retrieve the user's session. And then fetch for orders using YouCan API, which by the way you can find the rest of the API endpoints here in the store admin documentation. Also, you might notice that we switched the base URL to youcanshop.dev. But this is only for local development purposes. Once the app is approved, we switch it back to the initial documented base URL for production. Then here we have the session's access token for authorization. Finally, we return our orders. Next step is to update our index file to display all this. We refer to the documented code here and add this code line to fetch and request order data from our backend server. And then have our component display orders ID. Now we go back to our seller area dashboard, then add an order to test this. Let's check our app dashboard, and here it displays the ID of the order we just created. Now, the last step is to publish the app. If you're ready to publish it, just head back to the app located in the partner dashboard, and in distribution, click on Submit for review. Once submitted, your app gets locked and you can't make any further modifications. To dive deeper into YouCan app development, make sure to subscribe to our channel and check the documentation in developer.youcan.shop, linked in the description below, along with all useful resources. You can also join our Slack channel to connect with other developers and ask questions.